Next Gen fam, what is going on? We are fired up to be back this Thursday live with Next Gen HQ and Brandon Steiner. We got an incredible broadcast for you, but we've been making some moves, making some announcements the last couple of days on the Next Gen front. Dylan, what's up in your world? What's going on?
Oh, man. Justin, I could not be more hyped. We got one of our #1 rated speakers coming up next. We're going to get to the action with Brandon very, very soon. But I'm still feeling jazzed from yesterday. That live was unbelievable. Who was there? I tuned in. You tuned in, Jay?
It was
in the comments
incredible.
If you caught that.
We went for some bonkers announcements. I mean, we announced we're launching a print magazine, Momentum Magazine. We launched a podcast network, Momentum Audio, and our NGS at Home digital event happening in 2 weeks with Ray Dalio and Scott Harrison as keynotes. So what are you doing? If you didn't catch that, go back, watch it live.
All tied together with the most beautiful bow of all time called a brand new brand. Don't look here, but look here. It's a sweet old logo. Brandon spoke at this conference, by the way. We'll get to that soon.
We'll get to that.
Head to nextgenhq.com. You'll find everything you need if you did miss out. But again, if you don't get the notifications that we're going live, come on. Come on. What are you doing?
Register. So many shout outs we have to give. Shout out Grandma Rose. I know you're watching this. I also know Grandma Rose is coming to NGS at Home in 2 weeks alongside so many. Shout out Noel Bondari. I see you, Noel. New to the Next Gen team. Pumped to have you here, man.
I got to give a huge shout out to my pops. I know he's watching. Also will be attending NGS at Home next month. Pops just got a new hip. But he's walking around. Nothing's holding him back from momentum. He's walking. He's rehabbing because he needs that momentum too. And movement inspires momentum.
We see you. Tom, we see you. Shout out Jesse K. Oh, my God. I mean, Brandon Steiner is going to know Jesse very well. Jesse, longtime Next Gener, also going to be at NGS at Home. We see you there as well.
100%. And to round out these shout outs, I got to give a huge, huge shout out to the man, Connor Blakely, who introduced me to Brandon way back. It seems like 9 years ago. It was probably like 2 or 3. But Connor, thank you for bringing us together. I'll tell this story, and then I'm going to introduce Brandon, Justin, to bring him on board. So I get a call from Connor and actually also Jesse K. And they invite me to play basketball, right? I'm making it rain from outside and get invited to this game. It's like 6 a.m., 7 a.m., really early on a Saturday. I was not waking up at the 4s and the 5 a.m.s at the time. So this was pretty early for me on a Saturday. But, it's with this guy, Brandon Steiner, who's an idol of mine. I grew up looking up to him and learning about him. And so I decided to go. And playing ball there were the most savage people of all time. We had AJ Vaynerchuk running the entire Vayner sports operation. We had NFL and MLB athletes. We had incredible people, absolutely incredible people. And the best player there, Justin, you know who it was?
Not even a question. Draining threes, Brandon Steiner all day long.
Brandon Steiner.
Sam Ho, we're challenging you, man. Take on Steiner.
Sam Ho in the comments. He says he can take you on, Brandon. So before we get him on here, Brandon Steiner, he is a founder. He is a CEO. He is an author. He is someone who inspires millions, truly millions across the world, including myself, including Justin, has spoken on the Next Gen stage before. We are blessed to tell his story here today on Live with Next Gen HQ. Paige Hoffman, please bring Brandon Steiner to the stage. Let's get this party started. There he is. What's up, Brandon? How you doing today?
Hey, what's happening? Is my camera okay there? Am I too low or too high?
Well, you can bring it down a little bit. I like the hat, though. Looking good with that Chasing Paper hat on.
That's exactly what I'm doing, man. Yeah. Jeez.
Brandon, we're fired up to have you with us on Live with Next Gen HQ. We want to take this back. You are a hustler. We are hustlers. But take us back to you getting your start. Kings Highway, Ocean Parkway, slinging Oreos, slinging sodas. You had that business in your blood from a very young age. Talk to us about your childhood, getting into entrepreneurship, and your outlook on business and where you thought you were going to be growing up in Brooklyn.
Well, first of all, hello, Next Gen. I love your group, and many of the people even watching. I'm a big fan. And speaking at the Next Gen Summit, how many years ago it was? I've done it a few times, but it was a game changer for me. I mean, I've made friends with so many of the kids that are so much smarter than me. They've helped me so much. Hopefully, I've been able to reciprocate back, but you're not going to find a bigger fan than the group that you guys represent and organize on a regular. So thank you for doing that. And I'm very grateful because you really had an impact on my life. I needed the insertion of that youth and intelligence, what I call smartsmanship of some of the younger next gen kids that sometimes people don't realize how much value they bring to the table because they're just kids, but that's not the case. And I found that out in so many different ways. It's funny when you talk about success, a lot of it does come from where you were raised. A lot of it does come from who raised you. And for me, it started on the streets of Brooklyn. Like, I don't think entrepreneurship was something that I grew into. For me, and I think you can grow into it. I think you can develop entrepreneurship skills if you're willing to participate in some of the aspects that are necessary, risk, leadership, things like that. But I will tell you this, like, I didn't get into this hustling game by wasn't a democratic voluntary notion. I was freaking hungry, starving, didn't have any clothes, didn't have much to go with. I had to do something. So, either you sit back and feel bad for yourself, or I always say, you got to take action over anxiety. So I never got really uptight. First of all, I was a kid. I didn't know what I had and didn't have, but for sure, I wasn't worried about what other people had. I was worried about what I wanted to get, and I wanted to be comfortable. Now, I definitely got a little carried away. I never thought I'd get to this point, but at 10 years old, I got brought to the front of the class. My teacher gave me some money and said he took a collection for me to buy some new clothes. I was like, what? What are you talking about? He goes, well, you've been wearing the same pants for 3 weeks in a row. I said, how do you know that? He goes, well, you got a rip in the right knee. So I went home to my mother. And at 10 years old, my mother was like, well, you're in between sizes. We got to see. Don't worry. We're going to get you clothes. And when I went back to my room, it didn't make sense. I lived on 539 Kings Highway. Lived over a Glock kosher butcher. We were very poor. But when you're 10, you don't know that. All you know is what you know. So for me, it was when I went back into a room about 2 hours later, I said, Mom, I got an idea. I'm going to go out and find a job on Saturday. Now, I do have young kids. At some point in my parenting, and nobody at the age of 10 was willing to do anything. I was lucky to get them up in the morning, but I got up on my own and spent the day trying to find a job, and I got a job at Freddie the Fruit Man. And then, basically I never looked back, frankly. I've been working for the last 50 years, finding work. And I think, what's interesting about that, and I told my mother she didn't have to worry about me anymore. I would take care of myself. I'd buy my own clothes. If I had extra money, I'd give it to the family. But I think for anybody out there listening is you can't let your past dictate your future. You have to take accountability for where you're at and not make excuses. My father left. My parents got divorced. We were just in a neighborhood where there wasn't a lot going on. I went to a school that just wasn't that good. You have to be careful, getting into the excuse mode. Why me? Because all these things that were, difficult for me, not having what the other kids in the neighborhood had. I just took accountability for where I was at, and I decided to do something about it. And I think this is one of the most important stories I'm probably going to tell you in this conversation, although I don't think it's the most interesting one. And that is, you have to ask yourself, and by the way, I have friends that are 60 that still haven't done this, but are you accountable? And have you put your past, the ups, the downs, and some of the shaky parts, have you kind of reconciled it? Because I will tell you that it does not matter where you are right now. And any good entrepreneur knows that. It doesn't matter where you are, because it's always going to be a roller coaster ride in the world of entrepreneurism, starting new businesses, doing new things. It's always going to be difficult. The question isn't about where you're at, which is what most people will ask you. What I ask people is, what do you want to accept? Because if you can develop a high level of non-acceptance, that's what's going to drive you to want to do more. That's what's going to drive you to want to do better. And that's what's going to realize that, losing the word, I'm satisfied, or I feel good, or I'm good. Like, forget that. That cannot be in your vocabulary if you're going to be a true Generation Z entrepreneur. You have to find a level, whether you have to make it up or whether you can use real motivational tools to basically say, I'm not accepting where I'm at. And I did it when I was 10. And then I continued to do it in every job after that. So even with some success, and I have an indoor basketball court and this and that, I'm happy, but, to some degree, but satisfaction, as the Rolling Stones will tell you, you can't get no satisfaction. And you try, but you can't get it. So at the end of the day, if you want satisfaction, you can go to the beach maybe and hang out for an afternoon and have a couple hours of it. But if you want satisfaction in business, then you're definitely not going down the entrepreneurial trail, because you don't want satisfaction, will just lead you to mediocrity. It's going to lead you to boredom. It's going to lead you to being stale. So if you're looking to be satisfied and kind of happy at work, then you're probably somebody who's not looking to grow and go and do some things that have never been done before. So again, ask yourself, are you willing to accept where you're at? And then when you say no, what the hell are you going to do about it? Because when you get angry and you get hostile about the fact you're not good with where you're at, which is what I did, was completely humiliated and embarrassed when a teacher gives me a pocket full of money to buy clothes, which meant, God, I was the poor kid in the class. I'm not going to accept that. And at 10 years old, I found a job and got somebody to hire me, which is insane, frankly. And never not worked since. Found many, many jobs from that point on and never not had money in my pocket and never had to go to class with the same pants for 3 weeks in a row. So that's kind of a little bit of the beginning, stories. I mean, I'm going to get into probably the most important lesson, but I'll wait. I wanted you to digest the accountability part and also the non-acceptance part because it's critical.
Brandon, thank you so much for sharing that. Looking at the comments here, everybody truly resonating with the idea of never letting your past dictate your future. We can't be okay with mediocrity, right? I think that pulls a lot from the innovator's dilemma. Right? Your success today doesn't mean you're successful tomorrow to come. And I think as someone in your shoes who has found success by many definitions, however you want to describe that, I'd love to hear about what was driving you to continue achieving even after, let's say, that first job, right? So you're 10, you get that job, you start earning a paycheck, you're getting the new pants, right? But then you end up working in the hospitality industry. And even that itself, you knew there was more. So what was driving you? And maybe share some of those stories when before Steiner Sports was born, you were looking to grab the most out of life.
Well, I mean, some of it was, I think when your back's against the wall, and it's not a happy moment when your back's against the wall, you got no other choice, the night before the final, and you haven't really studied that much, or your back's against the wall and the rent's due tomorrow. I think that's when the excitement stuff starts to kick. I think everything else is boring. So in a lot of ways, I wasn't excited about the fact that I lived in a small little apartment or I didn't have a whole lot of money, but I'm glad because, man, it was constant inspiration and motivation because there was no room to hide. There was no mommy and daddy to give me, oh, here's some extra money, don't worry about it. And I'm not down on that because I've become one of those moms and dads like that give my kids everything, went through college, they didn't have to pay, didn't have to work. I mean, they earned their way. They were great students. I'm not complaining about my kids. I just, there's different ways to go about it. But when I look at my back against the wall, I never have a trouble finding inspiration. But the one thing I'll say is that I always, I never wanted to be successful. I never, that was of no interest to me. I wanted to be extraordinary. I wanted to get into an industry. I wasn't sure what. And that's the thing. It's like, you don't have to pigeonhole yourself at a young age of what you're ultimately going to be extraordinary at, maybe the best at. But you have to be committed to whatever you do to wanting to be the best at. And the way you do that is you got to make sure you have a winnable game and you're willing to do whatever it takes to find out everything there is about what it is you're doing. So you got to remember, as a kid, I went from delivering newspapers and then working, baking bagels, which, 40 years ago was a kind of an unusual job. And the bagel stores weren't all over the place. But I want to be the best bagel baker. That's how I invented the everything bagel. Like I was constantly thinking, like, what else? How else can I make my next fortune? I go home, I tell my mother, I said, Mom, I got an idea. I'm going to take a van. I'm going to cut out the sides so you can actually go up. I'll go up and down the streets on Saturday and Sunday morning. You pick out the bagels you want. I'll have the different cream cheeses, lox. I have a big bagel on the top of the van. My mother's like, you're 14. You can't drive. I'm like, yeah, it's true. That's true. That's a problem. But, that's how my mind was working. Like, how do I take this idea and is it scalable? How can I blow this idea up so I can take over the world kind of thing? So I always wanted to be extraordinary. And I think sometimes success gets in the way of more success because having some success gives you that, oh, I feel good. And feeling good is, again, when you go to the beach, I feel good, get some sun, go in the water, feel good. But in business, you really want to avoid feeling good. You got to stay hungry. You got to stay humble. You got to stay passionate. And you got to not be satisfied. Because to be extraordinary, you want to be the best it ever was. Like, I never people say, at 60, I moved on from Steiner. Why keep working? You have enough money. Because I love this industry. I helped build this industry. I built a company now, a new company that is going to be completely different than my last one. That's even better than the last one, CollectibleXchange. And it's like, I didn't work the last 40 years so that one day I didn't have to do what I'm doing. And that's a big message I love to send to the people watching is like, stop thinking if you make enough money one day you can retire and live like a king. That's insane. That's insane. Living like a king is working with who you want, doing what you want, when you want, and in essence, really living the way and where you want. All right. But it's not like sitting back and golfing every day because it's boring. You don't become the extraordinary and best at what you do. Tom Brady's not like, one day if I break all these records, win more Super Bowls, I could actually retire and not be a quarterback anymore. Like, that's not why you become the best of whatever was. And that's why you see some of the people that are the best, because, by the way, you don't remember anybody that isn't the best. You know, you don't remember the people that were successful. You remember the people that were extraordinary. So let's talk about, like, you know, how do you become extraordinary? Because if not, what the hell are you doing? If you're not trying to be extraordinary, why the hell would you even be doing it? You know, why are you even here? You know, like, at the end of the day, we have the one ability as humans to get better and to do things that have never been done. Like I was telling a group the other day, there were thousands and thousands and thousands of species on this planet, Dylan. Thousands: tigers, lions, bears, goldfish, cats, dogs, ants, bugs, owls. Not one of those species, and I mean not one, can get better. They were like the way they were. And elephants can eat 17 hours a day, poop, try to have as much sex as it can, sleep for a few hours, eat birch, eat bark. It ain't getting better. And that elephant's been around thousands of years. You're never going to wake up in the morning. Your dog's going to be sitting in the corner, having fed itself, walked itself, just reading the newspaper. It's not going to happen. A goldfish is not going to be in your goldfish tank doing backflips, breaststrokes, and everything else. That goldfish is what it is. It's been that way. It's not changing. But humans can get better. So if you don't really understand the opportunity you really have, besides the fact of just being born, being on this planet, and being on this side of the planet, which we're now finding out to be an incredible blessing, think about the opportunity that you have to do something that's never been done, which is incredible, and then be the best at it. So we're made for this. We're made to deal with this virus. That's what we're made for. We're made to deal with adversity. We're made to climb over the steepest and the biggest mountains. And at the end of the day, if you're not up for that, if you don't have the mental stamina and mental motivation for that, then you're really, really going down a very, very bad path. Matter of fact, you're sprinting down the wrong path enthusiastically. So ask yourself, like, why are you here? And why wouldn't you want to find out every possible thing there is about being the best, who is the best, and understand what you have to beat and what you have to do to be better than them? And that's what Generation Z Summit's about. It's about finding out who else is in the room, who else you're going to go beat, who else you can collaborate with, because some of you are better than all of you. You know what I mean? You're better off collaborating because you're never going to do anything really great alone, more than likely. You're going to need a group. So why not get together with a whole bunch of smart, really, really outrageous thinking, collaborative thinking people like in Generation Z, and go basically beat the world and go do something unique and different and be extraordinary. That's the opportunity that I would only wish that a Generation Z Summit was around when I was a kid. Oh,
I'm fired.
Brandon, everybody who knows Brandon, I think they're thinking, regardless of what age he's going to get to, you're going to always carry that electricity. As Maureen is saying in the comments, you're using that energy to change your life, and it's not stopping. It's every single day. It's every single year.
I'm in the same boat as everybody listening. I'm rubbing two sticks together over here.
And fighting and keeping it going.
I'm grinding. I'm coming in every day. I'm trying to figure out where the bathroom is. I'm trying to figure out how to become a better tech person. Yeah. I'm building some different websites. I'm learning how to build websites. I know how to build a website, but I have to build multiple ones. You know, the CollectibleXchange is an exchange, so it's a place where there's collaboration where people can buy and sell. I'm learning all the things about that. I mean, what a learning experience. I mean, I'm getting my ass kicked here.
You're in the lab. You're in the lab. You're in the gym, and you're working on it.
Like 20.
Yeah. Well, Brandon, so many young people, they have industries that they're excited about. You were at the beginning of your career saying, I want to dream, I want to go, I want to hustle, I want to win, I want to be extraordinary. So many young people are coming to us. I like the sports industry. I like media. That's really cool, really sexy. Talk to us about you getting into the sports industry. Obviously, a lifelong sports fan. Were you having any doubt of my ability to break into this when you first started getting in? How did you be taken seriously in an industry of very many old relationships? You're the new guy on the block. How did you really break in to such a unique space?
Well, first of all, there was no space. You got to remember, in 1987, there were some teams that mostly had a very, very small staff. There was no sports industry. There was no sports business daily. It was ESPN with a bunch of car racing going on. I mean, so I wasn't trying to break into the sports space, and I think it's really important. And don't get me wrong, I'm the chair of the Syracuse Sports Management School, of that board, and started that school, and I'm a fan of sports management as far as a curriculum. But the way you get into anything is by being the best at something. The way you get into anything is by being the best at something. Being really good at something enables you to get into something else if you choose to. You did great in high school, that enabled you to go to Harvard. If you're the best in your high school, you got to pick any school you wanted to. When you do really well, that's when you get choices. Probably one of my few lessons I taught my own son. When you excel at what you've been given to do, it gives you one thing, and it's not good grades. I told him in high school, I said, I know you've mastered the art. My kid was an A student, but what getting phenomenal grades gave you was choices. And that's why you're getting into all these schools. So when I asked my kid what school he's going to, his dad, I got choices, and I earned them. And I'll let this school know which school I'm going to. And he got it. And I want all of you to get it. It's like, it's not about getting into the sports business. Because back then, I had no idea what the sports business was. And I had to go home 5 times to tell my wife that I was starting this sports company. And she's like, are you sure? Like, what the hell is that? And then when I told her I was getting in the collectible business, you had to see my mother-in-law, what she said. This is so entrepreneurial. Somebody's going to buy a ball with a signature. Like, how's that work? The guy comes in, he really signs it. Someone pays for that. Someone actually goes to a store when an athlete's appearing to meet the player. How does that work? Because that wasn't even a commonality. So at the end of the day, you really have to start thinking about being really good at something. So whatever you've chosen, it doesn't have to be in the sports field, because if you're an incredible accountant or incredible journalist or incredible at finance, you're not going to have trouble. You're going to have choices, because people are always looking for talent. I'm always looking for the best talent I can. And when you're really good, you get choices. You're not going to be scraping and begging to get into any industry, because you're really good. When you've excelled incredibly at school, or even at the first couple entry-level jobs you've had, whether in sports or not, you walk in for an interview, people know that you're incredibly good. And then you get to start choosing what industries you want to go to. If you're just going into the sports business just because you like sports, and you kind of really, you're a sports enthusiast and all that, which I was, but I mean, sometimes that will play and sometimes it won't, but that doesn't really mean anything, because the objective isn't to get in the sports business, it's to stay and to build a career. And the question is, what kind of career you're going to build based on what? It has to be some kind of business, marketing, some kind of business principle.
I love that. Brandon, so many in the comments resonating, dropping truth bombs. Christian says, we have Ronnie, mom, shout out. Love the extraordinary comment there, Brandon. And anybody who knows you really understands, and it's clear through just hearing you today, but also reading your books. Shout out, quick plug to Living on Purpose, and you got to have balls, and go check these out, because it is incredible.
Hold on, Dylan, they're all free. If you go to
all free.
If you go to cxstuff.com till the end of August, they're free. Just go to cxstuff.com, and you can pick any one of the 3 books out. You get it for free. I just wanted to offer the book as additional motivation. I know things are a little weird. All 3 books give you a lot of different direction depending on what level you're at this point, and will give you an extra little bit of a kick in the butt. And I figure it's a good time to give away the books for free to people that need that, or if you know somebody that does need it.
Done. So here I am talking about how Brandon is of value, and he's giving you the books for free. We're going to get that link in the comments. Go check that out. Go take him up on it. I have learned so much. Quick little plug, Brandon. I had to grab this for you. This is a signed Derek Jeter ball that Brandon made possible for me a couple of years back. Jeter, my idol, the guy I grew up embodying love. I got to spend 2 or 3 minutes with him. Incredible. I am losing my mind just thinking about it.
I was thinking we were playing basketball. You want to go meet Jeter, and I was busy that day, and I just sent you over there to meet him. It was fun. I guess.
Fun is not even the beginning of it, Brandon. That is still one of my top memories to this day. And I was listening to an interview of yours recently, and the guest asked about what is maybe the most fun aspect, the most enjoyable piece of what you've been able to build. And you were talking about, as part of your answer, seeing other people light up when you're able to make a memory happen, or introduce them to a childhood idol. And for you, it's not about Brandon winning in that case. Yeah. Does your friend thank you? And does he or she maybe, buy you a drink the next time you guys get together? All right, sure, fine. But you're doing it because you know it's about value. So for any entrepreneurs out there, Brandon, who are building a business today, day one, they're in the early stage, they're in the trenches, right? Gloves are on, they're throwing punches out here. Talk to us about when you say something like stop selling and start serving. What does that mean? How does that manifest for an early stage business owner?
Well, first of all, let's just roll back to value for a minute, because I think a lot of times we kind of forget about value. But when you talk about making your most important decisions, whether you're in a store or whatever, you do think a lot about value. And value is what you could do for someone that they can't do for themselves. So the art really is, when you think about your business or even your relationships you're in, is if you want to think about a really good relationship, think about how valuable you are to that person and why. And that's generally because what is it you could do for that person they can't do for themselves? And that's incredibly important. The most important thing I feel in my business, which, at the end, and I was just lucky enough to experience this when I was 12, but you have to be a solution-based salesperson. You have to be a solution-based business person, which is hard because you're trying to make a living, trying to pay the rent, but stop selling and start serving, start solving. Be a solution-based business person. What problem does your product solve? What problem makes it easier for me from a service standpoint in my business? How do you make my life better or easier will depend on the premium and how much money you can make in a lot of cases. So focus on value, focus on serving and solving, and then the money really will come on its own. So like when I was 12 and I got out of the fruit and vegetable business, I moved on to another career, which was the paper route, because I wanted to play ball after school on Saturdays. And I'll just tell you this story really quickly, which was I was trying to open up a paper route, trying to win a box of candy bars, and I'm running around trying to open up as many accounts as I can. I had 29 dailies and 34 Sundays, and sure enough, I got nothing. I finally knock on this older woman's door. She's like, well, in her 70s. She's like, no way I'm getting the paper from you. I get the paper from the corner store. It's 8 cents from you. It's 8 cents from the corner store. I said, same price. She goes, yeah, but I got to tip you. When I go home, my mom says, Brandon, stop selling. You start serving. Start creating value. Differentiate yourself. You can't sell something that other people are selling and expect people just to buy it. And that's the key answer to your question, is how do you differentiate yourself from your competitors, from other people? By creating value, by increasing the highest level of service or solving. So I go back and I'm knocking on doors. I got nothing. I really want to win this box of candy bars. I knock on the old lady's door, and I said, she goes, is there a problem? I told you I don't want the paper. I said, ma'am, torrential downpour, snowstorm, ice on the ground, heat wave. I mean, just really bad weather. A woman such as yourself shouldn't be going out. If I bring you milk and bagels on Wednesday and Sunday, would you get the paper delivered? You would do that for me? I was concerned. If it's a snowstorm, how do you get your coffee or how do you get your milk? I'll pick up that and anything else you need. I didn't know that. And, so listen to your customer, think about what they need and how they need it. Here I am talking to this woman, and she turns me on to the whole neighborhood. Literally. I went from 29 dailies to 199 dailies, 234 Sundays. And I was delivering a ton of bagels.
Wow. And
it all comes from problem solving. So when you ask me about how do I get in the sports business and how do I sign up a Derek Jeter or a Mariano Rivera or an Eli Manning, I say to you, I figured out how to solve a problem for them. People don't realize when I got into this business, I started doing these players fan mail. I was opening up their mail back in the day. There was no computers, and I was responding to fans and showing the players all the important stuff because they felt guilty about just throwing it away. When I saw Derek Jeter, I immediately said, let me help you with your Turn 2 foundation you're starting. So most people, when they see somebody wealthy or get into a big company or a celebrity, the first thing they think, what can I get? What can I do with this person? Wow. I think, what can I bring? What value can I add? What can I do for them? Because if I become valuable to them and I show them that I can maybe help them, the business stuff takes care of itself. Now, that's the long game. That's the grown-up game of it all. But it's not about what you can get. It's what you can give. And if you want to fill yourself, you've got to forget about yourself. You've got to approach situations with value. How can I serve you? How can I service you? Be a solution-based business person. Think about your customer when you're negotiating about what problems they have or what excitement they have and what's getting them up in the morning. that they're excited about so you could pile on and get them even more excited. I want to know two things: what's keeping you up. I want to know what's getting you excited. I want to help you with the things that are keeping you up, and I want to, just bully through with you what you're excited about and help you through to accomplish your goals. So if you think about it, you're 16 years old. When was the last time you thought about what's keeping your parents up at night? Probably never. What's keeping your brothers and sisters up at night? What are your parents excited about? And how can you help them if they're an important relationship to you? Because when I talk about solution-based selling and solution-based relationships, it isn't a box you check. It's a mindset and a lifestyle. I don't just try to help people that I can maybe do business with. I try to help everybody. Do as much as you can for as many people as you can, as often as you can, and expect nothing back. This is not a business choice. This is a life choice and a mindset that you live 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, and then twice on Sunday.
Brandon, so many. I think a next gen sales team basically just wrote in the audience, we're hanging this up on our walls.
Better be taking notes out here.
Jayreen, shout out Paul Fisher, who has the autographed copy of Living on Purpose out with him right now, referencing Brandon. So we're coming to the end of this interview, and I know a lot of young people are thinking, I want to get in touch with Brandon. I want to reach out to him. And already Brandon's giving you the secret, which is don't come to me asking, figure out a way that you can add value. But Brandon, you're looking at a lot of young people. You're a business guy. You're doing deals. What are some of the traits that you're looking for in these young, Gen Z entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs that really show you that they're the real deal, that they're going to be in this for the long run, instead of a lot of the other young entrepreneurs or maybe big dreamers want to hang out with you a little bit, but they're not the ones that you're inviting into your core circle? What is it about Jesse and Connor? What is it about the young entrepreneurs that do end up, you getting to work with you and hang out with you? What kind of traits are you looking for?
Well, Jesse, I love. Connor, I just felt sorry for, frankly.
We got to tag him.
Shout out, Jesse. You just won that one.
Connor's a rock star, man. No kidding aside, I love Connor like a brother. But, I just like kids that come to me what they know and what they don't know. I always say, how do you know what you don't know? And I think it's really hard for younger people to reconcile that. Like, hey, there's a lot of stuff you don't know. I'm 60. A lot of stuff I don't know. Tell me what you know. Tell me what you don't know. Come to me with your idea. I like people that have a compelling story. I'm a big LinkedIn guy, so follow me on LinkedIn. And, a lot of people come to me with some really, really boring ass, horrible stories. And I'd rather just say, hey, I got nothing, but, if you ever have time, I like to talk. Sometimes I randomly pick out people to talk. I just hate people coming to me with a really boring, not compelling story. I think having a compelling story, knowing what you know and knowing what you don't know, and just trying to get a little better tomorrow than you were yesterday is enough. And that's the secret, is just try to beat yesterday, try to get a little better. Leadership is really overrated. I think it's really simple. Try to help somebody, make somebody feel good, do something for somebody. You could do leadership without running a company of 500, just help somebody across the street, pick up somebody's supermarket bill of $10 when you're in the supermarket that somebody's struggling, you see to pay. That's all leadership, and you could always do some good. And when you do good, it always leads you to doing well. Don't say you're going to do well right now, and then one day when you get old and have a lot of money, you'll do good. Find a way to do some good as often as you can, and it'll lead you to doing well. And I think it's really, really important. So when I talk to younger people, I can see that, when I'm talking to somebody who's a good person who not only wants to do well, but also wants to do good, that's compelling to me. But, I talk to all different various people for different reasons. I don't really have a particular, I don't have a particular stream of, who I'll talk to and who I won't. And I really do try to help a lot of different kids. And sometimes a lot of times I'll just answer in a pretty long-winded, here's what I think you should do, given your situation. I enjoy that. I get a lot of joy out of, if spending an hour with somebody, giving them a little bit of the pick-me-up they needed from the direction, and then them emailing me 3 years later going, Brandon, thank you. I really appreciate it. Even Jesse Case sent me a note about, 3-4 months ago, because we had spent a lot of time together for almost 6 months. And I learned a lot from Jesse, and he learned a lot. He's like, thank you. That was a real game changer for me. Like, that's it. But I never take a high school kid in. Jesse was in high school. I'm like, Jesse, you're definitely not getting into this company. Next thing I know, the guy's in my office, 7 hours a day, driving me crazy, but teaching me. I learned so much about, social media and how to get active. And then, he introduced me to a lot of younger kids that were even smarter. So you don't really know where the next inspiration is going to come from. And I think you can't put a price tag on meeting enough people and having questions and telling a compelling story.
Brandon, this is absolutely incredible. Ryan, Sosha in the comments, Remy, everybody, Paige, this is what it's about. And I thank you for how you have impacted my journey. Justin, Next Gen HQ, we're here because of people like yourself who made this possible. You embody the momentum values of making relationship number one, taking the long game approach. You're outworking others every day. You are doing it all, Brandon. And we are so thankful to learn from you. And I appreciate you tremendously. Brandon, we got your LinkedIn in the comments. We've got the links to CX stuff so everybody can start reading and learning from you. Brandon, before we let you go here, give us the quick on where Brandon Steiner's going next and what we can be on the lookout for as we see you only pushing for new heights.
Tell you, I wish I knew. Sometimes like I can't even find the exit going home. I actually passed my exit the other day going home. It's embarrassing. But and I have no problem with it. I don't have a problem being lost. I am a little lost because there's so many things coming at me, and I'm trying to. What I'm telling a lot of you to do, I'm going through it myself. And it's a grind. It's hard starting something. So I don't discount it. I don't make believe like it's not difficult. My wife says, "How's your day?" I'm like, "It's freaking hard." How's my day is. Okay, if you really give a hoot about what you're doing, it's hard. So, I just picked up UFC Collectibles, doing all their collectibles. I'm doing some stuff with WWE, Indy 500, about to launch a whole bunch of player websites. And then CollectibleXchange is, has 65,000 items on it. So every day, people are coming at us, loading their stuff up that they want to sell onto the exchange. We're learning how to build that platform out. We're in a bunch of directions, man. And if you ask me next week, I'll give you a different answer, which, you got to get comfortable as an entrepreneur that that's the game you're playing, the roller coaster ride you're on. But the most important thing, if you know that, and it's going to be difficult, the roller coaster curves and the dips and dops are coming, then, you expect them and they're not going to blow you out. But remember, it's take action over anxiety. At a time like this, you watch the news, it's easy to get yourself all wound up with not knowing what's going to happen and not being in control. But I always say when the waters get rough, the sharks keep swimming. And entrepreneurs and Generation Z, we keep swimming and we figure out a way to keep swimming and to keep fighting and to come I just think about what I want to have when I come out of this virus and what this thing is going to look like in a year or two. And that's what I'm focusing on.
Brandon Steiner, the Sharks are going to keep swimming. We look forward to having you back at a real live Next Gen stage very soon. Thank you for all the mentorship you continue to do to young entrepreneurs.
Well, thanks for having me.
So much love, Brandon.
Keep up the good work. Love you guys. Be well. Keep in touch.
So much love. Brandon Steiner, everybody. Absolutely incredible. Justin,
many
before
stages.
We break that
many
down,
stages.
Before we break that down, I got to tell you, Brandon, one that will never make it on CX Exchange. This will never be there, Brandon.
Not for sale.
I promise you that. Oh, yeah. What a gem.
He came to this conference. This is 2017, maybe 2018.
And then this one, 2019.
He came to that one. And then he came again. Brandon has been coming. He's been leading panels for us, leading keynotes, focused on mentoring the next generation. And every time he comes to a next gen conference, he's bringing other young people with him to his businesses. He's bringing young people with him to his next moves. So I would highly encourage you, if you're a young person watching this, summer interns, if you're watching this, reach out to Brandon. Hit him up on LinkedIn. Get the book. They're free. He's literally opening up for free his books. So get his books. Reach out to Brandon. Ask for that mentorship. And he told you what he's looking for. Have that compelling story. And then also lead with value. See what Brandon's excited about or what his problems are, and see if you can add value there.
Justin, what I'm going to leave today with and hold on, hopefully for the rest of my life, and it's a core value of ours already, but now it's just bolstered in on steroids, if you will. You learn from everybody, every interaction, every relationship, every bad, good, it doesn't matter. You're going to take something away. Brandon's learning from 15-year-old Jesse K. He's the accomplished CEO, the founder, the millionaire. He's learning from a 15-year-old. He's coming to Next Gen Summit, and he's in the comments. He's meeting the attendees, asking them to learn. He's seeing how we can add value. Every single person. There's no one too good. There's no one too small. Look to learn and you'll be better off. That's going to stick with me today.
Brandon Steiner has been on the Next Gen Summit stage, and in 2 weeks from now, it's the NGS at Home stage. So if you are not there, you get there.
What are you doing?
Momentum magazine. It's a magazine, and you get access to speakers and community and mentorship and this beautiful app that Jimmy, shout out to you, Jimmy's hard coding in the background, Angel in there hard coding this app.
Matchmaking, machine
Andrew
learning.
Feinstein on Excel trying to AI this thing. So we're making sick NGS at Home moves. 2 weeks from today, be there. We'll see you there. NGS at Home is happening. This was live with Next Gen HQ and Brandon Steiner. Every Thursday, we're here. We appreciate you, fam. Let's keep doing it. Let's keep building.
If you want $5,000 in your Venmo account, slide into our DMs. We got you. DG, JL, out.